All right then.
Happy Tuesday to everyone.
Yes, it is not a happy Tuesday in the outside world because it's just horrendous weather here.
Yeah, we should be used to it in the UK by now. One day it's glorious summer and it's roasting hot, and the next day it's like Baltic winter.
I know. I said yesterday it was a bipolar day.
Mm,
It started off the day and it was freezing cold and it was like torrential downpour. And by the evening, it was so bloody hot. I was walking about without a top on.
it's so weird. We're walking around topless.
We
Goodness.
took the dog for a walk and Josie's like, oh, fuck this, I'm taking my top off. Just walking about in a bra.
Walking around completely topless.
Mm.
Baps out.
Yeah. Damn it,
Well,
Josie.
other than the weather, how are we?
Good. Very good.
Good. I am very good.
Good.
We are
We
all
love
very
that.
good. Good, good.
Okie dokies. So we are going to crack on because I have got some sort of story for you today. And I
Oh,
gave you a
yeah.
little hinty poo, didn't I, last week?
Well, yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it was a shit clue because
That
I have no
really,
idea.
really isn't anything else I could have um said really, but it will all become clear.
Nature versus nurture.
Nature versus nurture. But first things first. Random blams. Go. Did you know
Mm.
that koala bears have fingerprints just like us?
Oh my goodness. And I bet they're
Yeah.
really tiny. I wonder if there
Well,
was like any like crimes where they were like dusting, they were like, this was a koala.
it's funnily enough, okay, it says that forensic experts struggle to tell them apart
Oh,
because they're so eerily similar to ours that it looks like a human fingerprint.
oh my God.
Yeah, so I'd be like, if I was a defense attorney, I'd be like, listen, koala came in.
Have any of you looked at the option
All
of
of these
koala
unsolved
burglary?
crimes.
Yes.
Yeah, they could set up a koala database.
Wow. If I ever commit a crime, that's going to be my go-to. I'm
Just
like, well, there
whacking.
was a koala there, but I don't know if that's relevant. And then
I don't know
hopefully
if
someone
you've
will be like, oh,
dusted.
don't
Not
know.
sure if you've taken their fingerprints either.
But in the name of justice, I feel that you should run their prints.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. It
cool.
says that they're
Wow.
so basically they developed to grip is what fingerprints are. They're a gripping.
Yeah.
If they're smooth, you're gonna fall down a tree, but they're more grippy because they're more ridged. So that is generally what fingerprints are
Which makes me ask the question, why do we need them then?
because we evolved from.
Did we though?
Yeah, we did, Kate. We 100% did.
What,
So
evolved from like climbing trees?
yeah,
Mm, I
from
think
monkeys.
no, I don't believe it.
Oh, stop it.
I think we came from aliens.
Of course you did. All right. What's
Outside of
your
a wall.
blab?
Did you know that bananas are berries and strawberries aren't?
Yeah.
So when you're eating a banana, you're actually eating a berry
Yeah, what classifies it as a berry though? Because it grows on a tree.
because strawberries aren't classed as berries because they come from like multiple ovaries of a plant.
Right. That's weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
That's weird to say that plants got ovaries,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
but
needs must.
yeah.
We all must reproduce.
Yeah, when you need an ovary,
Multiple.
multiple. Got ovaries all over the place. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so there you go.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for yours. Greatly appreciated.
Right. Done then.
Random Blam's done.
So You normally message me and say, what's the title of the episode so that you can name it on your computer.
Yeah.
And you haven't done so. So you don't even know the name of the title.
I don't, because I was in such a mad, mad rush this morning. I was just like, I'll just title it episode 136.
Oh, there we go. Well,
And
funnily
that's
enough, that's the name of the episode.
episode 136. The episode 136.
Yeah. No, so the title of this episode is the Minnesota study, the Gym Twins.
Oh, gym twins.
So the Gym
You do
Twins.
a lot of stories about twins.
I've done one other story about twins.
No, you haven't. You've done the silent twins. You've done the
Yeah.
Pollock twins.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Oh,
Yeah. Now you're
keep my
doing
word.
this
Gym twins.
Yeah. So that's
Oh.
3.
No, you're right.
That's
Absolutely right.
a whole barrel. What's the word? Barrage. A barrage of
Yeah.
twin stories.
Yeah. That's
3
because
in 136.
twins are amazing and they have unknown powers, I believe. They've got their brain works differently, I reckon, to ours.
Yeah.
There's something in twins and they're just intrinsically know, you know?
No, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know.
They just know.
I'm going to see my cousin's baby twins today.
Oh, I love twins.
2 little babies. They've just turned 1.
Oh, cute.
They are cute.
If we've got any listeners that are twins, get us in your stories because twins. I know Maddie is a twin. She listens and they're just weird.
Weird in a good way, or weird as in like creepy?
No, twins have got something different, and they've just
because when I think of twins on like even slightly creepy level, I think of the twins from The Shining.
I knew you was going to say that.
I can't help it.
Come play with us.
No, thank you. Bye.
No, thank you. Well, on that note, then let's start the episode.
All right, let's crack on. Morning.
No, I'm not having that. No, all of our listeners demand a good morning how you normally do it.
Me. Just stab that. Morning.
Oh, then.
Morning.
That was much better. Gosh, we can't start the episode like that.
I've done morning like 100 and something times. So
yeah,
just
exactly.
Every now and again, I like to mix it up and just be like, morning.
We don't want that. Telling you now.
All right. The listeners have
not
spoken.
Okay. Stop it, Kate.
All right. Now stop.
Pack it in.
All right, sorry. Morning.
Yeah, no worries.
Morning.
So, I mentioned in the last episode that I was halfway through writing a different story for this episode that we're recording. And then I came across this one and I was like, holy hell, this needs to be my next story. So I immediately I put that one to bed and I started writing this one. Because what is more perplexing than the age-old question, nature versus nurture?
Mm-hmm.
Are we a product of our nature? Does our DNA predetermine our behavior? Or does nurture, our environment, play a bigger part in shaping our behavior? What makes us us?
And are you going to answer that question? I really hope so.
Many a psychologist, a philosopher, anybody that's studies human behavior have tried to all prove their point that it's nature over nurture or it's nurture over nature. And many people agree that it's a bit of both.
Like a
And
perfect storm.
the perfect storm.
Mm.
One psychologist devised a study to prove once and for all what plays a more crucial role in shaping who we become as adults. In 1979, Thomas J. Bouchard, an American psychologist, devised a study that he called the Minnesota Study of Twins Reared Apart. So this study lasted 20 years.
Oh.
It studied 137 pairs of twins. This included 81 pairs of identical twins and 56 pairs of fraternal twins, which are twins that aren't identical. However, it focused more heavily on the identical twins as they shared the same DNA.
Right.
So it was basically a study to see if our DNA makes us who we are or our environment. So the basic overview of this study was to study twins that had been separated practically at birth. And these twins had to have been raised by two different families, two different locations, two different upbringings. You know, there's a whole host of different elements that come with being raised separately,
like
hand reared. So they then would have two very different nurture factors. However, they would have the same nature aspects because the twins shared the same DNA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they basically took the DNA part and split it into, we're going to see what effect that environment has on this DNA, and we're going to see what effect that environment has on this same DNA. So
can I ask a question?
Of course you can.
Were they separated for this study?
Not for this study,
okay.
But there are studies that had purposely separated twins to study them.
I don't like that.
No, it's not a practice that is shared anymore. But yes, it did happen, and I'll mention a little bit later on about a set that it did happen to, and but yes, that did happen. But this study itself, no, it just studied twins that had been separated because back in the 80s, they didn't really know much about the twin bond, and they didn't really give a shit. It was like, this baby needs adopting. Oh, you only want to adopt one? That's fine. So
and also we didn't do it. Just like to point out, we're just talking about it. We didn't separate any twins for this episode, so we're all right.
Thanks for the clarification.
That's right.
So it was important that these twins had been separated very early on in life so that the study could get a true reading of how their nurture would impact them. So they essentially would have been separated like weeks after, sometimes maybe a month or 2 months or something, but very, very close to birth that they were separated. The babies would then be placed up for adoption for two different families, and his study basically was like, twins would get in touch with him and say, we were separated at birth. I've only just found my twin and this is our story. So, but other experiments where they had purposely separated them, they would then go to each twin and document certain behaviors. So they would keep up to date with the twins' lives and how they were going.
Yeah.
Which is awful. So I think from what I researched, the practice of separating twins for a study ended in 1980. But this study that Tom Bouchard did included some of those twins that had been separated. So the research team found that identical twins who are reared apart had the same chance of being similar as twins who were raised together. And this is none more apparent than in the case of the Jim twins. The Jim twins were part of the Minnesota study, but not as babies. They were adults by the time they were studied. So their unique, bizarre story came to light in 1979 when Thomas Bouchard was designing this experiment. And the twins gave him a lot of insightful information because they were adults and they could tell their story and their similarities and things. And in the early 40s, so 39 years previously, the Jim twins were born and then immediately placed for adoption. So at 3 weeks old, the twins were adopted separately. One boy was adopted by the Lewis family from Lima, Ohio, and the other was adopted by the Springer family in Pequot, Ohio, which was just 46 miles away.
Wow.
Each adopted parent knew that there was a twin, but never knew what became of them. One thought that the twin had died, but they knew they had a twin brother, but didn't do anything about it. So now we have two identical twins that share the same DNA, and they've been taken by different families to different locations to be raised differently and independently of each other. Neither family or child had any interaction with each other at all. They were very, very, very separate. So do both children grow up to be different? A product of their environment, of their upbringing, rather than their DNA? Or do they grow up to be the same? A carbon copy of the other, programmed to be that way based on their DNA? After all, siblings grow up in the same environment, yet can vary wildly. So the first, that was going to be a question. What do you think? Do they grow up to be incredibly different because they're being raised by two separate families in two completely different ways? Or do they grow up to be the same because they share the same DNA?
I don't know, because I think when I think about like some of these, well, children, teenagers, young adults that do horrendous things, and then the family gets absolutely like torn apart because of it, you know, and everyone's saying to the parents, you know, it's the parents' fault. Look at the parents and that. And I think, no, I don't agree with that. I'm not someone that would automatically look at the parents and go, well, you didn't do this and you should have done that.
Do you think that people can be
But
born bad?
yeah, I think it's there's more in the
DNA.
in the DNA of that person, and I think it's down to that individual. That some people I strongly believe are just born evil, but in all honesty, I've never actually thought about it with twins, like who have got the same DNA, unless you consider like the Cray twins, and the Cray twins were
Well,
identical twins, but
this is
they were very different.
yeah, this is what the experiment was designed for, to
Yeah,
see if our DNA is literally coded to make us the way that we are,
yeah,
or if we're a product of our environment, what influences us and our behaviors, or if we genuinely we are who we are because that's the way that we've been made.
yeah.
So the first of many strange things happened with both boys straight out the gate when their respective adoptive parents named them both James. So James Lewis and James Springer.
Oh, that's mad.
And yes, that might have just been a popular choice of name at the time and just a coincidence. But then it gets a bit weirder. So both James prefer to go by the name Jim, which is a common shortening of James, especially at that time. It's not unusual. They both grew up with an adopted brother who they had then inherited from their adoptive family. And both of their adoptive brothers were called Larry.
Oh, that's creepy.
And when growing up, they were both given a puppy and both they were allowed to name the puppy.
Shut up.
And they both named their dog Toy, which is not a common name.
That's crazy.
I understand that them being named James and them having a brother named Larry isn't anything to do with their DNA. It's just weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
But they both named their dog Toy. And while at school, both boys seemed to excel in woodwork and maths, but both had a struggle with spellings. As they grew older and got jobs, both Jims got jobs in law enforcement, one as a deputy sheriff and the other as a security guard. When they eventually decided to settle down, Jim Lewis married a woman named Linda, whereas Jim Springer married a woman also called Linda.
Oh, shut up.
However, both marriages ended in divorce, and both Jims found a new wife, and each married a woman named Betty.
Oh, come on.
And I assure you, this is not made up. Both Jims welcomed into the world a baby boy, which they both named James, which is not a surprise given that that is also their name. However, both Jims gave their son a middle name, Alan. The only difference between their son's name was that Jim Springer had spelt his son's middle name with 2 L's as opposed to 1. So one was James Allen with 1 L, one was James Allen with 2 L's.
Jeez.
Both Jims had a light blue Chevrolet car that they drove, exactly the same car. Both took their families to the same beach in Florida for family vacations, but never at the same time. Otherwise, that would have been... Can you imagine walking along and being like, you look like me, your wife's the same as me, that dog's the same as mine, that's my car. Both Jims were known to be heavy chain smokers. They smoked the same brand of cigarettes, which was a Salem brand, and they both drank the same beer, which was Miller Lite beer. In 1977, Jim Lewis, aged 37, decided that he wanted to try and find his twin after, I think when he was about 8 years old, his adopted parents said that he had a twin. So when he got to age 37, he wanted to try and find his twin. So he managed to get the details from the courthouse that did the adoption and managed to get his brother's details. And they first spoke on the phone and both said it was very strange because they sounded very much alike, the way they spoke, their mannerisms, things like that. And then they eventually agreed to meet up in 1979. Their meetup was big news. It was like a media circus, and news spread to Thomas Bouchard, the creator of the Minnesota twin study, and he was obviously eager for the Jim twins, which is what they were known by in the media now, the Jim twins. So he was eager for them to be part of this study. So he did this study. He monitored them. He looked at the twins' brain waves and found them to be identical. He gave them both a personality test, which had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions, and there was just like about humor, about, personality traits. They were all just loads and loads of questions. And they turned out to be the same answers, everything like that. The personality results came back the same. He compared their medical history, which was like a carbon copy of one and the other. If one had gone to the doctors, the other one went to the doctors with the same illness. They was like a carbon copy that he was reading. And while observing both men in this study, he found that they both chewed their fingernails. They both suffered from migraines, and they both liked to leave little love notes around their house for their respective wives to find. Oh. And as part of their personality test, they were each asked to draw a picture. Separate, different days, whatever, they were completely separate. Each man drew the same fucking thing.
That's crazy.
All of these that I've said have been like uncanny similarities, but there was one main difference between the twins. And that was visually. Each Jim twin actually styled their hair differently. So one Jim wore it combed straight back, and had like long sideburns. The other one had it forward and like straight cut, almost like a Ringo Starr bowl haircut type.
Okay.
So that generally was the only main difference between them, is that they just like to style their hair differently. They wore similar clothing, things like that. But so that's really where the unsimilarities end. And Thomas Bouchard found something very interesting in the twins as well. And it actually shaped how scientists now view headaches, because both Jims suffered with something called mixed headache syndrome. And it is where a tension headache develops into a migraine. And this began at age 18 for both men. And they would get it at the same frequency, like the same degree of disability. It would come on, like they would get it at the same, like if it was 3 weeks apart, they both got it 3 weeks apart or something. They got it at the same sort of time.
Yeah.
And they also used the same words in which to describe it, this headache. And this led scientists to believe that this type of headache was genetic as opposed to other factors. One neurologist said that it was biological programming, meaning that our bodies are pre-programmed to deal with external factors like stress in a certain way. So because they share the same DNA, that's how, and they suffered with these same headaches, that's how the scientists kind of traced it back to, it must be something in our DNA and how we deal with these stress factors. You know, some people, their stress goes to their belly, some people it goes to their head. And yes, so scientists figured out something from them. Bouchard found in his test that in some ways, like he was comparing the nature versus nurture, the DNA and things like that. And he said things like intelligence were 70% governed by our DNA, by nurture, and 30% by nature, the environment. And he also found sexuality to be governed by DNA as opposed to our environment. And he said more so in men.
Okay.
Which I found quite interesting.
Yeah,
Don't forget this was a study in the 1980s though, so it probably come about differently now. But while this study garnered a lot of information for the nature versus nurture study, it was obviously ethically incredibly wrong.
Yeah.
Many twins were purposely separated from each other, and then studies, like I said about that other study, and studies have shown now that having an estranged twin can impact mental health severely, and that is no clearer than in the case of Edward, David, and Robert, also known because of the documentary on Netflix called 3 Identical Strangers.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
It's fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
In 1980, Bobby Shafran, a new freshman at Sullivan County Community College, he rolls up for his first semester, only to be greeted with hugs and kisses and friendly, like, "Oh, you're back," greetings, and greetings by the wrong name as well. And it came to light that he was being mistaken for a man of incredible resemblance called Eddie, who had dropped out a few months prior. And people swore that they must have been related because they were like doppelgangers. And they arranged a meeting between these men, and lo and behold, they were identical in appearance. So after finding out that they were both adopted at 1 year old, they made the news after being reunited at aged 18. And they was on like a TV program talking about it. And while they was on this TV program, they were spotted by a third person named Robert. And he couldn't believe how similar the two twins looked to him. So he wrote in, and it turns out that they were triplets. And having always felt this like missing connection, you always hear that when the twin, even if a twin loses another twin, they feel this like missing connection, that there's this hole in them.
Mm.
The three men very quickly got on like a house on fire, and they shared all their similarities. Despite growing up in three different households in three different areas, the similarities were jaw-dropping. They all three shared the exact same mannerisms. They kind of sat in the same way. They were all wrestlers. They liked the same colours, had the same taste in older women, and bought the same brand of cigarettes. Each also had an adopted sister, and all three sisters were the same age. Which is just fucking weird, isn't it?
It's crazy, isn't it?
But their separation had taken its toll on one of the triplets, Eddie. He always suffered from manic depression, and after a lengthy stay in hospital, he took his own life.
Mm.
So there have been many, many studies to show that how the separation or loss of a twin has a severe impact emotionally, with some people referring it to like that someone said that it was like losing a psychological part of oneself. Mm. So these twins in particular, Eddie, Robert, and what was the other one? Bobby. They were actually separated on purpose, as opposed to the Jim twins that were just separated out of convenience.
Right.
These triplets were purposely separated. So the three boys were born to a single mother who gave them up for adoption. They were then purposely separated at birth for this nature versus nurture experiment and placed in three different socio-economic households. Over the course of their lives, they were visited by researchers posing as like adoption agency officials.
Mm.
They were given tests to see their, like personality tests and things like that, so that they were literally studied their whole life and they had no idea about it. So they're never told about the experiment, or they were never told about each other. And the results of that study have never been made public. And Eddie, who took his own life, never actually found out that he was part of that study. The other twins found out later. But that in itself would have had such a massive impact on his mental health, because that's,
you just feel so used
diabolical
and so cheated, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I just,
to know that you've been,
no one can give you that back either. That's something that's taken from you.
Yeah.
I just think that is so wicked, so wicked.
So the case of the Jim twins is like, it's a bit of a standalone case of the extreme end of similarities that can happen between twins that are separated at birth.
Mm.
But there are many other twins that it's happened to. So another set of twins with a similar story emerged from the Minnesota study also. And they are twins that are actually in the Guinness World Book of Records. Or is it Guinness Book of World Records? I always get it mixed up. And they're in there for being the longest separated twins before finding each other. So Elizabeth Hamill and Anne Hunt spent 78 years apart after being separated at birth, before then eventually being reunited. Wow. At 78 years old. One lived in Oregon in America and the other lived in the UK.
Oh,
so
really?
A massive geographical diversity. And the nature versus nurture crowd were just stunned by the similarities between the two.
How did they find each other?
So after one's adopted mum had died, they were going through paperwork. They found the paperwork and wanted to get in touch with the actual mum. So they eventually just found it through a trail of paperwork.
Right. 78 years. Jesus.
78 years, yep. So both Anne and Elizabeth were widowed, which wasn't unusual based on their age. Both of their husbands had been named Jim. Both were very religious. Both liked to pose similarly for the camera. So like, instead of just smiling at the camera, they would like do these silly poses and silly faces. And they both did it. They both wore very similar things when they went to meet each other, which was strange. They both did dancing, and their mannerisms were the same. There is Barbara Herbert and Daphne Goodship, and they are known as the Giggle Twins. And they were named that because they would laugh and fold their arms in the same way. So they spent the first 4 decades of their lives apart after being separated at birth.
Wow.
And after then being reunited, they discovered some really bizarre similarities that just couldn't be explained. So when they finally met at King's Cross Station in 1979, each was wearing a beige dress and a brown velvet jacket. Literally, like, identical.
That's mad.
Clothes, yeah. They both straight away noticed that they had this, like, crooked little finger. It was, like, identical. They were born with this crooked finger, which is DNA. That makes sense. And they said it was a small defect that had kept both of them from ever learning to type or to play the piano, which they both wanted to do.
Wow.
And both had this, like, eccentric habit of pushing up their noses. So, like, just pushing it up. But what's even more bizarre is that each of them had named this habit.
Really?
And they'd both named it squidging. They both named
that's
this
not
little...
a common thing, is it?
No, they both
when
named
do you
it
meet
squidging.
someone that go, "Oh, I squidge my nose"?
Oh my God, you squidge it too?
Yeah, that must have been so weird, mustn't it?
And get this, right? Both had fallen down the stairs at the age of 15 and had weakened ankles as a result.
No way.
At 16, each had met a man at the local dance that they both married. And this is just mental. This is so bizarre. Both the twins, so Barbara and Daphne, had suffered miscarriages with their first children.
Aww.
They then proceeded to have 2 boys, followed by a girl.
Wow.
Which has to be down to your DNA, which means you are programmed to have the children that you have.
Yeah.
That's not...
It's
a lot of people
starting to do my brain in a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, my brain's running away with me, and I'm like,
well,
how can that be that they both have even like the same accident at the age of 15?
I know. And it's made me ask some questions, which we'll discuss at the end. But a lot of people think that if you have a girl, it's mainly influenced by the man or something like that. But actually, it looks like it's not. It looks like we are programmed to have a boy or a girl, or a boy and then a girl.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Another pair of twins studied by Bouchard were Jack Youth and Oscar Stowe. No, I'm going to say that wrong, but it's Oscar Stowe. They were born in Trinidad in 1933 and then were separated a few months later. Jack's wife read about the Jim twins and the Minnesota studies and then decided that Jack knew about his twin but wasn't really bothered. But based on this study, he was like, oh, well, it's a good idea. I might go and meet him. So he actually contacted Bouchard, and then Bouchard went with him to this meeting. So he said he was with Jack at the airport when Oscar got off the plane. And this is what he said. I remember Jack pulling in his breath because Oscar walked exactly the same way he did. They have a kind of swagger to their bodies. Each sported rectangular wire rimmed glasses, a short clipped moustache, and a blue 2-pocket shirt with epaulets. I don't know what that is.
Epaulets, yeah.
What's that?
Epaulets are like the bits on...
Oh, on the shoulder.
On the shoulder.
Okay. And he said they shook hands but did not embrace. But as it turns out, Jack and Oscar were also full of quirky habits in common. They both liked to store rubber bands on their wrists. They both read magazines from back to front. They both would flush the toilet before and after using it.
Oh.
And they both liked to dip their buttered toast in their coffee.
Oh.
And they had this weird, it's not a weird habit, but it's something that they just liked to do. That whenever they was in like a crowded place and it was busy, they would just be like in a crowd of people and they would just sneeze.
To
And they
move
both,
everyone away.
yeah, and they both did that.
That's mad.
Why would dipping buttered toast in a coffee be a DNA quirk and not something picked up by your environment? The same as like
Yeah.
reading a magazine back to front. Why would that be an innate programmed thing? So this episode had me really asking the question, do we even have any free choices in life? Are we programmed to follow a certain path? Perhaps some choices that we make might lead us elsewhere, but we soon reroute ourselves based on our coding. Are we just like giant computers? Like we put in this code, we're bored with this code, and that's our path, that's set. So there are more stories of twins that have been separated that share sort of similarities and things, but none more so than the Jim twins case. That's literally every aspect of their life followed the same path down to the naming of their children and things. So I literally ended the episode saying, why?
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 And how? And why?
What? It almost angered me a little bit because you always think, oh, I chose to do that. Yeah, or this happened, and you've got free will in things, but do we?
What I feel differently about it, in as much as I feel like if that is the case, and everything that we do is kind of already predetermined, doesn't it just take the pressure off?
Just sit back and relax.
Well,
put autopilot on.
To a point, you're just like, I'm going to be ultimately where I need to be or where I'm programmed to be. So why am I stressing about everything so much? Why am I stressing about, oh,
But we don't
I've
want
got to make
be
sure
like
I do
that.
this. I've got to do this. I kind of do. I just, like I'm going to go with my feelings and trust that fate will take me where I need to be at that point.
But
Something happens. I'm
if
like, well,
that's
that was destined to happen. So,
but if that's the case, why are some people destined to die early, or some people destined for a life of destitute? And
no, I mean,
why?
I do think that. I do think, you know, why did, why did I have to lose my mum
Mhm.
at what feels like so early on in my life? And I really could have benefited from having my mum for many more years to come. And she was like the world's best mum for me. But we don't know. We're not meant to know those answers. Do you know what I mean? We have to follow the process. We have to follow the path that we were dealt, and then I believe that at the end of it we do get the answers.
Because that's another thing, isn't it? If you believe in fate, then everything happens for a reason, and everything happens as it should do.
Yeah.
Then that would be because we are programmed that way. Everything is already set out and predetermined for us.
Yeah, and fate is guiding you like where you need to go. And like you say, sometimes maybe we do divert off, but we don't know whether that's us veering off the path or whether that is the path. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we were meant to get up and go, oh shit, it's raining. I was going to walk to the shop and now it's pissing down rain, so I won't. I'll just stay in. But maybe if we'd have gone, oh, I'm going to go to the shop anyway. Yeah, it's pissing it down with rain. Maybe we'd have been hit by a car.
Well, that's
Do you
it,
know what I
isn't
mean?
it? If you fight that instinct, like everybody always says, listen to your gut instinct because it's telling you something. Like people that didn't go to work that day at the World Trade Center
Yeah.
because they missed that taxi, and I was like, oh, fucking, I missed that. I'm going to be so late for work. And they're really angry about it. But actually, that happened for a reason.
Yeah.
you were meant to miss that taxi, or you were meant to not get on that flight because you had this weird feeling that something bad was going to happen, or
Yeah.
so that gut feeling is our coding telling us you're going off the path.
Yeah.
And that hurts my brain a little bit.
I know it hurts mine as well. I feel you.
I don't
I
want it to be that way. I mean, it would be nice to just sit back and put autopilot on and be like, carry me,
take me.
take
Take
me.
me. No, I do. I've got faith
Faith.
in fate. I
Mm.
do. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and we just we just keep going and
But
follow the
that's
path.
such a slap in the face to other people that have, like, for instance, lost children.
Absolutely.
How could you possibly say everything happens for a reason?
But I
What
don't,
reason is there?
maybe that wasn't, it's my, this sounds horrible, but maybe it's not about you. Maybe it was the path for that child,
And
for
that's it.
that
And
son.
a lot of people learn from that, like especially in murders and things, and
Yeah.
or like aeroplane crashes. They learn from that
Yeah.
to then prevent it in the future. So,
Or maybe it's
but
not
it's
about prevention. Maybe it is just about learning.
yeah,
At the end of the day, no one really knows, do they?
no,
No
no,
one
and
has
that's
been
why they do
able to
these.
come forward and say, this is what happened. This is the purpose of life. What's the meaning of life? It's the
Yeah,
biggest question.
yeah. But that's why they did this study, nature versus nurture, to show
Mm,
what impacts us most. Like, does our DNA literally program us to
yeah.
be who we are supposed to be?
And I get
And
it with, twins that happen to have, been separated by chance, by circumstance, things like that. I think the cases where they have intentionally separated them, put them apart and monitored, for me, that's so morally
it's awful. Yeah,
corrupt. That's awful.
yeah.
I get the science behind it, and I think it would be great if those people were, soulless shells. And it was just you could do that as a toy in a game, but it's so morally wrong.
Yeah.
So morally wrong, and it's just awful because those people can never get that time back. They can never have their childhood with their
With their
twin.
siblings. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, so that's why I read this and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do some more
Yeah.
research on it. So that's
Super
why
perplexing.
a little switcheroo. It's incredibly perplexing.
Yeah.
So there we go.
What do you think essentially? Do you think it's nature or nurture?
I genuinely thought that our upbringing and our environment does play a big impact on shaping us.
Mm.
But I'm now feeling that our DNA will probably have a hand in that also,
Yeah.
because, like you say, siblings that grow up in the same environment
Mm.
turn out very differently. Um,
Differently.
and that is because of our DNA, that would be,
Mm.
and not our environment. Like, I'm very different to my brother and I'm very different to my sister.
Yeah.
But we grew up in the same household with the same parents, with the same, things happening and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so what makes us different? And it must just be our DNA. And I'm programmed to view things a certain way. My brain reacts to things very differently. I think and I feel very differently.
Yeah.
So I do think that our DNA has a hand in how we react to our environment,
Yeah.
as opposed to our environment shaping us.
I'm calling I vote nature. I think
Yeah.
I think it's in our DNA.
Yeah. It's in
How
our
we
DNA. DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think massively DNA. Um, But yeah, like you say, it's that age-old question as well, isn't it? Are we born bad, or does our environment play a role as well? And I think
Mm.
sometimes, like you said, it's the perfect storm.
Mm. Yeah, it's a
Bit of
little bit
both.
of both that comes together in a very unfortunate and
But
terrifying way.
and that's what I think, is that our DNA programs us to react a certain way to our environment.
Mm.
Whereas if we didn't have that environment, we wouldn't react that certain way.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like I think, and this is definitely a case that um I've I've been waiting to do, but I really need to do it justice, is about the Columbine
Oh yeah, we've
shooting.
mentioned it before, haven't we, about
Yeah.
doing it?
And I do, I've researched it for years. It's just it's kind of destroyed me a little bit because I just feel so sad about it because
Yeah,
I've read a massive amount on each and every one of the victims.
yeah.
I've also read a lot about Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris.
Hmm.
It's my opinion that Eric Harris, it was in his DNA. I believe he was born bad. I think Dylan Klebold was kind of swept along with it. So I think it was nature for one, nurture for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, very strange, very
Yes.
strange. But ultimately, I think people are born bad.
You're
I don't
just
think
born a
it's
certain
anything
way.
to do with the parents or anything. I think it's if you're, I think you can be born with that built in.
Very interesting. So
We've read
food
a
for
lot
thought.
about killers, haven't we? Like
Yep.
these proper sadistic
Yep.
bastards, and right from a young age, they
Yeah.
start, in hurting animals, killing animals, and things like that. So I think it's just in them.
Yep. But yeah, food for
That
thought
was,
for everybody.
yeah.
Let us know.
Thank you very much for
You are
researching
welcome.
that and telling that. I enjoyed it, but I've kind of done my own head in a little bit. I
Yeah,
shall be
yeah.
thinking about this for a long
Every
time to
every
come.
decision you make, you go, is that mine though?
Did
What's
I
telling
choose
me to
that?
do this?
Have I chosen to do this? Yeah, very strange.
Yeah. All
Well,
right, well, you're
thanks, Polly.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
All right, well, we'll see you lot next week. I'll say next week, not next Tuesday. I'll see you all next week.
All right.
Bye.
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 If you have enjoyed listening to our episodes, make sure you rate us and leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening.
We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So you can also help support our show by donating to our Buy Me a Coffee link. We will make sure that you get a massive shout out and a big thank you in our next week's episode.
You can also follow us on social media at Perplexed Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see more videos and blooper reels, subscribe to our TikTok and YouTube channels.
You can also email us your stories at perplexedpodcasts@gmail.com.
And you can find all the relevant links in the episode descriptions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
I feel like my eyes are turning inside out.
It's always a good start.
Jesus Christ.
My eyes are on the outside of my skull.
Oh, God.